Good morning. It's Tuesday, July 8th, 2014. This is Tech Talk Today, episode 22, and my name is Chris. We got a great show planned for you today, and maybe one to wear headphones. We're going to do a little test at the end of today's episode. NPR did a survey and found that 90% of their audience could hear the difference. Yeah, I said hear the difference between hot water and cold water. You think you could do it? We'll take the test at the end of today's episode. So if you have headphones, maybe get them handy. I don't know. I didn't need headphones, but I want to give you the advantage. But let's start out with the headlines. You guys know me. I'm not big on the sports ball. In fact, pretty much the one thing I'll never talk about really is the sports ball, unless it's about pirating the sports ball, which turns out millions of people around the world, as you probably suspected, are pirating the World Cup live streams. This is according to an article over at Torrent Freak, which has just been pumping out a ton of original content recently, too. They write that millions of people have turned into the pirated World Cup stream thus far, with some of the games getting nearly 500,000 unauthorized views. Torrent Freak spoke directly with the French-Israel content protection firm Viaccess-Orca, who has sent roughly 2,000 takedown notice to platforms. Now, not to individuals, okay? I mean, there have been some of those as well. These are to the entire platform, asking to have content taken down. It's essentially just the illegal streams of the World Cup. Now, they're actually pretty proud about this stat. They're getting a success rate of 35% of people that they send the cease and desist are actually complying, and they're ecstatic about it. They say this is great for us. They say especially compared to direct download sites where they have a much lower return rate. He says there's still hundreds of thousands of people getting through. The company estimates that between 100,000 and 500,000 people tune into an average game on the streams. Up until last week, Belgium versus Russia was the most watched match with 471,000 unauthorized views, and that's just the ones they tracked. And I guarantee you there's ones they're not tracking. I think it's pretty funny because what louder, clearer of a message do we need to give the content industries with these initiatives like the whole Aereo disaster that we just saw go down, and now with the live stream event like this, and during the Olympics, so many pirated streams? What's it going to take for these guys to figure it out? I don't understand. At this point, in my view, this ship has sailed. People are building their own solution. I don't know, guys. What do you think? You think maybe I'm crazy? Oh, we just lost our Mumble Room group. Oh, well, that's too bad. Well, let me know what you guys think in the comments that are watching this show. So while we're talking about this topic, though, I thought this next story was particularly interesting. Oh, and by the way, the article includes a graphic of the hotspots in the world where those streams are going down. Anyways, this next one kind of fits in nicely with this because, one of the big problems on the internet is these artificial barriers we put for content restriction, mostly due to content rights and things like that. Well, New Zealand has an ISP that's allowing their customers to opt for a U.S. package. Yeah, if you're a customer in New Zealand of this ISP, you can get the American package and then you get access to all the American services like you're right there in America. The ISP is called Slingshot. They're a local ISP. Isn't it interesting when you have competition at the local ISP level, what kind of things can crop up as market differentiators? They've added what they're calling actually the new global mode, not American mode. It's internet plans that allow customers to access services like Netflix or Hulu without getting in trouble from coming from the wrong country, as they put it. Slingshot's global mode, as you probably guessed, is essentially a VPN, meaning that it reroutes any traffic through the servers over to the U.S. Slingshot subscribers using global mode may look like they're actually located in New York to the content provider. Anyone using this type of VPN likely violates the terms of service of Netflix, though, so you got to keep that in mind. Which is why Slingshot, by the way, Slingshot sells this to the content creators as, no, don't worry about this. No, this? No, this is for people who are from the U.S. who are visiting and want to get an ISP account with us and pay for this on a monthly basis because they're from the U.S. and they want to access their U.S. services that they own with their U.S. accounts. We'll see how long that lasts. But I thought that was a pretty interesting story in light of the whole World Cup thing. I'm a big Waze user. I don't know about you, but I think it's a great tool to find out about accidents or the spot of maybe where there's a car on the side of the road or a police or traffic cams. It's crowdsourced traffic management, and they also take in data streams and lay that in there too. So it's a pretty nice application. It was bought by Google a while back. It turns out, and I guess not too surprising, that Waze is helping local governments by giving them a direct data feed of the Waze traffic information. Now, they say it's anonymized, But they say that this data is super accurate, so local governments that are managing traffic really want it. The app can tell how fast a driver is moving and even get its complete record of their driving history so they can pull it up and see, kind of get an idea of traffic flow. This is according to a Waze spokesperson. This is passively tracked data, as they put it. It's not something that they share necessarily to the identifying level, but they have been sharing this with Rio since the summer of 2013, and they just signed up with a deal with the state of Florida to give them a direct feed of this data. Now, here's what's interesting about this. They also say, by the way, more local government departments in the pipeline. None of these partnerships, none of these data feeds where Waze is supplying the local governments with this data. It's not according to this article over at Forbes, not a financial transaction they're making this deal with. What it is they get a feed from the local government too. So it's a two-way street, as they quite literally put it in the article. Waze gets a little something, the local state gets a little something. So Waze gets like their traffic cam information, their light information, things like that. So it's pretty data rich for Waze as well. As the article puts it, in return, Waze gets real-time information from Rio on highways, from road sensors, and even from the cameras, while Florida will give the app data on construction projects or city events. Florida's Department of Transport could not be reached for comment by Forbes, but a spokesperson really recently told a local news affiliate that they're going to share information like camera images, all of the information that comes from the sensors in the roadway, all of it's going to go to Waze, and Waze will give them their traffic data. It's a numbers game, they say. They say we still want all the information we can get so that our app is robust as possible, too. So it's compelling for Waze to have that data feed as well. I don't think any of us are too surprised by that, but it's something to keep in mind that when you're driving around and those kinds of things, there is a system tracking you. Now, you are basically putting your faith in Waze that they'll properly anonymize that and that you're not going to get logged and it's not going to be associated with your user ID or something like that. I'd like to know what you think about this, though. So go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com, click the contact link, and choose Today from the drop-down. And send me in a note, or go over to techtalktoday.reddit.com and leave your thoughts in this week's that's old habit. In today's episode thread in the subreddit, where you can give me your thoughts on that. Are you comfortable with your relationship with Waze? Did you know that they're giving out a data feed to local governments and that they're expanding that initiative? You could see how it could be a major revenue source for them, right? I could. So I bet you that's an area that's going to grow a lot. And now that they're owned by Google, there is some interesting connections they could make there. So I'd like to know what your relationship is with Waze and how you feel about this story. And you can read more about it. We have a link in the show notes. Hey, before we go on, I want to thank everybody who's really kind of making the future of Jupiter Broadcasting look a little brighter these days. This is a new initiative we launched with the start of this show, so, about 22 episodes ago. Patreon.com/today. Go over there right now if you would. I have a recommended pledge level. If you love the Jupiter Broadcasting Network, if you want to help us grow, hire temporary contractors, get equipment, solve problems, be able to budget, plan for events that we want to do, and be able to know that we have a platform of funding that allows us to sort of look into the future and say, yeah, I think we're going to be able to do this. Let's put that on the map. That's something we can actually accomplish. And we don't... What I'm trying to avoid as the network grows is I'm trying to avoid just adding tons and tons and tons of shows just to increase inventory space to sell more ads. And that doesn't mean I don't want to add more shows. It means that when we add a show, it's got to be the right show. And when we add an advertiser, it's got to be the right advertiser. And what we're doing with this Patreon funding for the network is not only does it help fund this show, keep this show going, essentially, you are the advertiser for this show. You're keeping it on the air. But what we really want to do is build a platform that Jupiter Broadcasting can predict on. Look at that funding level and say, okay, we know how much we have coming in. Let's go for it. Let's go to Ohio Linux Fest. Let's go down to OSCon. We know we can do these things. We can afford to make these trips. We can grow. We need to hire a contractor to come in and fix some things. We know we can do that. It's just essential stuff. Plus, we want to diversify our income so that way we have different revenue sources. So if any one particular revenue source drives up, Jupiter Broadcasting doesn't dry up. Patreon.com/today. Pledge any level that you can afford. Your support really does make a difference, keeps the show on the air, and we're getting closer and closer to our next milestone. If you'd like to be part of that initiative, if you'd like to be one of the people, and there's only 227 of you right now, so you really have an opportunity right now to be a small part of a minority that keeps this network on the air, that makes a difference, and helps us reach that next milestone. Patreon.com/today, and thank you to all our 227 patrons. You guys rock. You guys rock. Thank you very much. Brian Krebs, favorite of the TechSnap program, has an article this week on his blog about the rise of thin mini skimmers. You know, the skimmers that can grab your debit or credit card information? Well, now imagine ones that just go right in the slot of the ATM. They're so thin, so minimal, they just put them in the ATM card slot and they grab it when you insert your card. It's kind of a combination of these mini inserts and cameras. You're probably more familiar with the more traditional type of skimmer where it lays directly on top of an existing card slot and is actually a fake slot altogether. These new mini skimmers fit snugly inside that reader throat, and it obscures most of the device. You can't even really see it's there. There are all kinds out there on the market right now. The most popular ones are the ones made to fit NCR machines. It works in tandem with a miniaturized tiny spy camera to record each customer's PIN number as they enter it. Now, because the United States doesn't have the chip and PIN system, this forces like European card holders to have these magnetic stripes, so that way when they go to the U.S., they're compatible with our technology. So they're able to rip them off anyways. So we're kind of holding the security back over there. So it's mainly happening not in the U.S. It's in a lot of European countries and Latin America. It is not happening as much in the U.S. right now, but you could easily see how a system like this would be moved over here. And a lot of these device hardware are pretty similar. So I thought this was a really, really fascinating story. We might go into more depth on this on a future TechSnap program, but I loved this. Brian has some great pictures in his blog. I highly recommend if you have like a read it later service and you want like a good Sunday read, go save this to your Pocket or Instapaper, whatever you use, and then take a look at it, because it was a fascinating read, and perhaps we'll dig into it further in another episode of TechSnap. But I had kind of a fun experiment I wanted to get to. I teased it at the top of the show. We had, this is actually a larger experiment that NPR picked up on, and they wanted to test their audience. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. I want to test our audience. So NPR conducted an online poll asking listeners if they could hear the difference between cold and hot water simply by listening to the sound of the water being poured. And it turns out most listeners were spot on. So let's do the test. Are you ready? Okay, so again, I'm going to play two clips. One is hot water, and then one is cold water. And you have to decide which is which. So let's start with our first pouring of water. What do you think? Hot water or cold water? And now here is our next pouring of water. Which one was that? Hot or cold? All right, now let's see how you did. Here is the results.
And 80% of you guessed that this was cold water. You were right. This, of course, is hot water. 91% of you got that one right. Our poll was based on a larger experiment that found nearly all people surveyed could tell the difference between hot and cold by sound alone. The firm behind the experiment hopes to use the findings to make better sounds for ads.
Oh, well, then they had to ruin it with that. But yeah, it looks like the chat room mostly nailed it. Yeah, okay. So just for the record, the order I played them was cold water and then hot water. And I look at all of you. I think, did anybody get it wrong? I don't see anybody that got it wrong in the chat room. Wow, that is really amazing. I got it right, too, when I first heard it. Isn't that interesting? There's got to be some interesting science in there. I'll have to ask Heather. I think it's, I think like the hot water, I know one thing I definitely noticed is the cold water has a ping at the end of it, a little tight ping. And the hot water doesn't necessarily have it. The hot water, you almost like you can hear the bubbles, like it's swishy. Doesn't it almost sound not frothy, but like you can almost hear the bubble activity in that water. Hopefully, I didn't make you have to go potty. I apologize about that. So there you go. There's our science experiment for the day. Our Mumble Room dumped out on us, so we have kind of a shorter show today. But I would like to invite you to join us. Head over to jblive.tv. We do the show Monday through Thursdays. Starts at 9 a.m. Pacific. And you can go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar to get that converted to your local time. I'd like to invite you to join us. Come over there. Get in the chat room. And when you do a bang mumble command, it'll give you our mumble server, and you can give your comments on the tech stories. We'll just do a little vetting, make sure your microphone's good and your audio settings all work. And then if you pass that test, you get right into our mumble room, and you can share your thoughts on the tech headlines of the day. If you're maybe a little more passive, but you still want to be involved, maybe you can't join us live, well, you could always participate in that subreddit over at techtalktoday.reddit.com. That's where you can vote, submit stories, comment on things, give me an idea of what you want to see in the show. I always check that before every single episode. And don't forget, I want to hear your feedback, too, on that Waze story. Go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com, click that contact link, and choose Tech Talk today from the drop-down. I'm going to try to get to those on Thursday. Also, just a little shout-out, upcoming event, OSCon. It's going to be not this next week, but the week after, I believe. And the days I'm looking to be there are July 22nd and the 23rd. So the conference itself kicks off on July 20th, but because that's a Sunday, I've got to do the Linux Action Show. So I'm going to try to make it down there later in the week. I don't know. I don't have my plans 100% locked in yet because there's show production considerations. But if you're going to be at OSCon 2014 in Portland, Oregon, between July 22nd and 23rd, let me know. And maybe we could do a meetup. I can get a brewski or a burger or something like that and talk tech. I'd love to. So that's OSCon. That's in Portland, Oregon, July 20th through the 24th, coming up in not this following week, but the week after, if I have my time math right. And last but not least, I just have to plug one thing that we did over the weekend that was really fun, extremely fun. Go check out episode 184 of The Faux Show. The Summer Project Award Show is one of my favorite shows that we do, and it's amazing what your fellow Jupiter Broadcasting community is working on. Amazing. So many cool projects out in our Jupiter Broadcasting community, and you can go get them. This is a special we do from time to time, and it was so cool. So episode 184, Summer Project Awards 2014. Of The Faux Show. I'll drop a link to that in the show notes as well, so you can check that out. Okay, that wraps it up for me today. I'll be back tomorrow with more tech headlines and news and maybe a little analysis too. Should we just throw that in there? We could. And I wanted to end with sort of something that from time to time you might have seen, depends on your age, but back in the day, before we had GPS in our cars, before we had tablets, before we even had like Palm Pilots or what was that Apple... the Newton. Before we had the Newton, any of that kind of stuff, AT&T used to run these commercials called You Will, and it was their take on the future. Now, you got it. When you're watching this is 1993, okay? This is really pre-consumer internet, all of that kind of stuff. And it's kind of amazing how right they got it. And you've probably seen these before. It depends on your age, like I mentioned, but it's worth watching again. So we'll wrap up today's episode with AT&T's vision of the future. And now you look at it and you go, yeah, it's because they're planning to make money off of that with the data charges.
Have you ever borrowed a book from thousands of miles away? Across the country?
Gesture ahead. Take next exit.
Without stopping for directions?
Route 101.
Or sent someone a fax? From the beach? You will. And the company that'll bring it to you, AT&T.